This episode is brought to you by the Arvada Center. Stephen King's thriller, Misery, is live on stage at the Arvada Center this fall. Based on King's best-selling novel, this psychological thriller tells the story of author Paul Sheldon, who wakes up after an accident in the home of a superfan, Annie, who is not happy with his latest work. At Annie's mercy, Paul finds himself writing for his life. Misery is running September 4th through October 11th, and tickets are on sale now at arvadacenter.org. That's arvadacenter.org.
Welcome to CityCast Denver. I'm Adrian Felix, and here's what Denver's talking about. Today, we are revisiting one of my favorite episodes this year. Bree, Paul, and Patty Calhoun discuss the 21 most influential Denverites of the 21st century and their contributions to the city that we love. It's always helpful to introduce yourself to the names making history right here in Denver.
Producer Paul Karolyi, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Bree.
And Westword Editor-in-Chief Patty Calhoun, hi.
Hi, good morning.
So we are counting down a list. Paul, okay, give us where did this list idea come from?
Okay, so we had a members event for the CityCast Denver neighbors.
So fun.
I had a great time. I had so many good conversations with people. Thank you all so much for coming out. But one of the best parts of this event was we did this bingo exercise about setting goals and intentions for the year. And I put in some of my own, some personal stuff on mine. But really what I enjoyed was talking to all the neighbors about what they would want to see out of CityCast this year.
Yeah.
And one neighbor had the best question that spun off into a million ideas. And this is my favorite one. The question was, why is Denver the way it is?
That's a big question.
It's a huge question, and there's a bajillion ways to answer it. And I want to know. I mean, this touches on why I love history, and because it informs how my experience is today. Why are we the weed capital? Why are we the place where, I don't want to spoil my list, but there's a million things about what's important in the city right now, and where did that come from? Who made it this way? So that's the idea. The 21 most influential Denverites of the 21st century. It's a list. We'll count them down.
Patty, what do you think about this question of assembling this list?
Paul mentioned it to me, and I was talking about a week ago, I sat down and had lunch with someone who influenced the previous 25 years, I think in such an important way. It was one of the strategists behind the end of the Olympics, the kill the Olympics in Colorado if we had to pay for it movement. And I think that was the defining movement of the previous 25 years. So we would be having the Olympics here 50 years ago this week if it hadn't been stopped.
Oh, that's a good point.
So you think about that previous 25 years, it showed we were independent. It showed we cared about the environment. It showed we cared about the quality of our surroundings. It showed we didn't have any problem saying no to boosters who would have had us ruin the environment for it. It showed we cared about who profited when we were also paying. And I think that attitude carried over really for the next 2 decades in Colorado. The Lamb years, all the different Pena running, all the new people who came in wanted to make it a better place, didn't want to make it like other places.
That's so interesting. It's just not something I think about a ton, but when you put it in that context, it's like, also, how did we get to a place where we voted that way and thought that way? And that was really deeply entrenched in who we are as Coloradans.
Who was coming to Colorado, who was staying in Colorado, you, who lived here and what they wanted to protect. And it's really significant, that last 25 years of the 20th century going into the 21st.
Well, let's get to this list. Let's talk about the 21 people you came up with, Paul. We're going to start with your 21st person.
Well, I came up with a list. I ranked 52 people.
Of course you did.
In the end.
Of course.
And I will probably share this at some point. But here's how I did it. I thought to myself, who are the Denverites who in the 21st century are most responsible for making the city what it is and what it will become? So I was thinking about the present, the city as it is now, the future. Who are the people who have accrued power, who maybe if I got a phone call from someone, who would I be quickest to answer? Who would I most want to book on the podcast? Those
Rob
kinds
Cohen?
of people. He's on the list.
Is he?
He's on the list.
Let's get to the list.
Number 21, Lisa Calderon. One of my favorite Denverites, one of my favorite podcast guests, always has a great take, always is indelibly herself. The reason why she makes the list is because I think she is the strongest progressive voice that Denver has seen in the 21st century. Not only she run for mayor twice and she win tens of thousands of votes, but she is a relentless fighter for what she believes in. And she has led the progressive movement and set the tone for that entire wing of politics for the last at least 10 years.
Yeah, I find her, she's staunch in what she believes in. Nobody can sway her. That's what I think is really interesting about her, is what she believes is truly what she believes deep down. And she also represents to me different aspects of communities in Denver that really gravitate towards her voice for that reason. So
She's also building off what a lot of other progressives did. Think about Padres Unitas. I don't think they're going to be on your list, but some of the people who came out of the 90s and then kept pushing for change.
Well, that's another thing is like I moved here in 2015. My list has recency bias. I'm counting on you two to bring that first decade at least of the 21st century. But anyway, let's go on.
Number 20.
Number 20, you already mentioned him, Rob Cohen.
Rob Cohen.
Rob Cohen, he is a huge downtown business booster. In addition to being one of the biggest supporters and champions of the business of sports and attracting sports events to Colorado. He ran another Olympics bid, also failed in the 2010s. Then he attracted X Games here. And now, most famously, Denver Summit FC, the new professional women's soccer league. And he has convinced the city to buy the land for him to build this stadium on top of for this new team. That is influence.
Yes. I mean, it involves politicians. It involves us as taxpayers. It involves we're going to watch the transformation of a neighborhood. This will change Denver. And it's already sort of in the process of it.
The other thing about Rob Cohen, though, that I think people probably know the Denver Summit stuff now. What people don't know is that how involved he's been in the Downtown Denver Partnership for a long time, decades at least. He's been on and off chairman. He's been on the board. When I think about the 21st century in Denver, I think about explosive growth in the Hancock years, especially of downtown. And Rob Cohen is one of the people who was behind the scenes making that happen as CEO and chairman of IMA Financial, which is a company I think his father started and he's run for a long time very successfully, bringing money, influence, power. This was the biggest power center in the city. He was a huge player in it.
And let's go back to what sports meant at the end of the 20th century when we got Major League Baseball. And he followed a lot of the same plan that Pena had with the group he had, pushing for Major League Baseball to come. And so they could build off it once Coors Field was downtown.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. All right, 19.
19 is an artist. Jamie Laurie.
Oh,
He was on my list.
From Flowbots.
He was on your list as well.
Johnny Five?
Sure, because when you think about 2008, when the DNC came here, and you probably will get into that, Flowbots front and center in really pushing for demonstrations, public involvement. He'd been doing it before then at East High and with Flowbots, and then Youth on Record.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I was going to say
Everything that grew that
reinvestment.
way. Yeah, that's a good one.
Exactly. Strong progressive voice. At some point, he will get into politics and he will be a big player. But I think that he was a very strong leader of that grassroots movement, pushing against this like feeling of rapid change that felt out of control to a lot of old Denverites during the 2010s.
And remember now how he is involved so much in immigration with Project Worthmore. So he is still continuing to be active, but in different areas.
They've sort of popped back, the Flowbots have popped back up recently in my social media feed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, with music around the issues that we're facing today with ICE and immigration. Like you said, Patty, he works with Project Worthmore. But I also do just want to reiterate the Youth on Record component of this, because this was musicians who made it big in Colorado, came back and created a program to involve students in an industry, essentially, that is one of our bigger industries in Colorado, which is the concert industry. So it's not just that they're helping students become working artists, but they're also learning the back end of the industry as well. So.
And he wrote a banger song.
He did.
Maybe the most successful piece of art to have come out of Denver in the 21st century is Jamie Laurie, No Handlebars.
But I do have to say, though, there's a whole band there. There's Stephen Brackett, there's Andy Guerrero, there's Kenny, like all of those folks are there too. So.
And you look at what Stephen's continued to do to push music, Fort Collins down to Denver. So
the Nightmare conversation we had with him, all that. So.
He might have made it if we had a nightmare.
All right, 18.
Number 18, Greg Penner. Greg Penner, this is a little bit more of a recent one, but he is the leader of the ownership group that bought the Broncos and completely turned the franchise around. And maybe even more importantly, they're planning this new stadium that's going to totally change how the city works, but in two ways. One, when they build the new stadium, they're going to build a whole district around it. This is the Kroenke, Penner, Walmart plan for how America works, basically, is have a giant retail entertainment development anchored by a major tenant, in this case, the Broncos, and then make a crap ton of money on the land. This is how Kroenke got so rich. This is how the Penners got so rich. So Broncos, Walmart, new stadium.
Well, let's also remember Dad Walmart. Dad Walton.
Dad Walton.
Daddy
Yeah,
Walton.
Helped a lot.
He might have done a little something.
For both Stan and Greg, the sons-in-law.
Yeah, and also, again, the total transformation of a historic part of our city. This will be interesting to see how this works, and if it works in conjunction with that history and the folks that live there, or if it goes against that.
I mean, and just the money, the sheer
Yeah.
cash that this guy controls. If Greg Penner calls, you're answering.
It's wild.
You're going to want to hear what Mr. Penner's got to say.
Well, don't hold your breath waiting for him to call you.
17?
Number 17, Julie Gonzalez. State Senator Julie Gonzalez, possible future senator, and even more coming in the future again. But in addition to her work, like as a labor leader, as a progressive voice in the state capitol, I think that she's set the tone on immigration for the whole city.
Yeah.
I think she's maybe the leader on this issue that has become so crucial in the last couple of years.
Yeah, she made it front and center at a time when maybe not everybody else was talking about it, which set the stage for her at this moment, absolutely, to be a prominent voice on it. Again, she worked for immigration rights attorney. She was an organizer in the community. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. 16.
16, I'm going to hope for some of Patty's help on this one. I'm confident of where this guy is, but I don't think I know even 10% of what he is responsible for. Walt Eisenberg.
Absolutely. He's a good one to push because he, as a hotelier, and I can't remember what year he came with Sage, which has just kept growing and growing and growing.
Sage Hospitality.
Sage
Yes.
Hospitality.
Okay.
He owns
Oxford
more
Hotel.
50 plus hotels and restaurants in Denver. He's been a longtime chair member of Visit Denver. If he's one of those people downtown where if you want to get a project done, you go to Walt.
Okay.
You hear what Walt has to say. Maybe he can help you. He was a pivotal player in the Union Station development, which I think is the turning point moment, the inflection point, defining moment of Denver in the 21st century, that project and how it was done. And I think also the Dairy Block is the other one that he both helped redevelop under Sage, and now they control.
And of course, he has hotels outside of Denver, but he is Denver-based. In fact, I believe he's a neighbor of the Penners. He's Denver-based. He pushes. He's good for charities. He does get involved. The Barth Hotel deal, which he at one point wanted to make into a luxury boutique hotel, but instead he worked to make it be able to come senior housing. This is just out this week. Shows he's been a good citizen who pushes.
Yeah, and that adaptive reuse part of his story too, I think, is interesting because Union Station still exists for other people's pushes, but definitely using your money and influence to transform those spaces says a lot. Okay.
Super influential dude. Number 15 is a different kind of influence entirely, although he has influence in different ways. This is the person who you are most likely to buy car insurance from. Peyton Manning. Former Broncos quarterback, obviously, Super Bowl champion. I was thinking, who of all Denverites is like the highest rated pitch man for a brand? Huh. He is in so many commercials. What is influence except being a spokesperson in a commercial?
What's he pitching in Denver?
In Denver?
I mean, what's he pitching that's changing Denver?
He's pitching. Yeah. I don't know. He's pitching Papa John's franchises.
Okay, I'm going to argue with you on this one.
Yeah, you don't think Peyton Manning deserves a spot?
No, does not come to my mind.
Nope.
You don't. Well, I guess he doesn't have influence over the city relative to other places, but in terms of sheer influence, he is a Denverite and he has influence globally.
Over Papa John's pizza, maybe. I'm not going for this one.
Wow. Okay. Well, then we got a spot open. Maybe there's someone I'm forgetting. We can swap in there.
Okay. 14.
Number 14, Robert Smith.
Oh, sure.
Good.
At one point, the richest black person in America. I think he's the second richest black man in the world right now. Longtime chair and maybe CEO. I don't know what his title is of Vista. He's a money manager is basically where he makes his fortune. But he's on the list because of his extensive philanthropy.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
I mean, he has given so much money. He once paid off the student debt for the whole graduating class of Morehead University. He is constantly giving like $10, $20 million to organizations, basically helping uplift people of color.
And saving a lot of historic places in Colorado.
That's what I was
Lincoln Hills,
thinking.
he's been very involved in. He has done some great things in 5 Points. I would argue a bad partnership actually hurt 5 Points for a while, but he is definitely putting his money where everybody else's mouth is in 5 Points right now.
Yeah, and he's one of those guys where it's like, whenever there's a big project in Denver, it's like, well, does Robert Smith want a piece of it? What does Robert Smith want? There was, no, it was the Broncos when they were up for sale from Pat Bowlen. It was like, is Robert Smith going to buy the Broncos? It was a whole news cycle I found when I was Googling this guy. And it was like, there was no reason to speculate this. He just happens to be a rich guy who lives here.
But I mean, I think
Influence.
I was going to say,
Influence.
if you're that level of wealth in Denver, you're definitely someone in line for what people are going to think you're going to do something like buy the Broncos. That's so interesting.
I was just at Spangalang, which he helped keep going.
I
so.
love that. All right. 13?
Okay, next up, Maria Garcia Berry.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Sure.
So this is also a name that people might not be
I was gonna
familiar
say,
with,
please
but
explain
behind
who
the
she
scenes,
is.
she has been involved in shaping basically every major project in the city for the last 40 years. She founded CRL Associates, very influential consultant group. She worked on she has been the consultant for the stock show, representative of government at the stock show for a long time.
Still doing it.
Still
She's
doing
on
it,
the
even
stock
though
show.
she's retired from CRL, which means that she was integrally involved in the campaign to get public support for the stock show so they would keep it there, so they could redevelop and build on it, expand it. Like, that's a huge project. I don't know if it would have happened if it weren't for her.
I feel like I know her because her company pushed to overturn the camping ban, and
Yes.
she ran the successful campaign to stop that
Correct.
from
Oh, yeah,
happening.
She's gotten
Correct.
involved in a lot of political
Yeah.
things. Her husband was in the legislature, which is why she focuses on Denver rather than statewide campaigns,
Interesting.
because to avoid
Conflict
that
of
conflict.
interest. Yeah, Union Station redevelopment, she was a player in. RTD reform, the Front Range passenger rail, she worked on fast tracks in the 2000s. And the thing about Maria Garcia Berry that I've learned recently from just having met her a few times is she's got this role because she knows how everything works. She is obsessed with process. So people will go to her and ask her for help because she understands it all. And then she, of course, then has the influence and she can help shape it to whatever she wants.
All right. 12?
12, I wasn't sure because I think the bulk of her work happened before the 21st century, but I was like, I think her influence extends beyond this. I think she was defining and influential in a different way after her main achievement. Dana Crawford.
I was going to guess
Yes.
it's impossible not to think about it, but truly, she was defining in the previous century. I mean, she did Larimer Square starting in the early 60s. So she was the first person to really push lofts downtown, but that also was in the previous century.
I mean, we have the Crawford Hotel at
Right.
Union Station. If she had not worked to help to preserve and save that, we wouldn't even have that.
well, she worked
project.
closely with Eisenberg
Yeah.
on the Oxford and other things. So she's one of those carryovers. And I think we've got a few other carryovers, but she used her influence in the 21st century.
Mhm.
She gained it in the 20th.
Yeah, I mean,
That's-
as
yes.
being
I couldn't
being
have said
one
it
of
better.
those founding voices in the preservationist movement of the 70s that set the stage for what we saw in the 2000s, particularly
And if you
in
wanna get
downtown
into-
and then in mountain towns too.
Getting into the Peyton Manning thing, her influence spread far beyond Denver because she consulted with a lot of other cities.
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't know much about that.
That happened in the 21st century, that she was doing a lot more consulting.
Well, and I would just say too is if you want to see the visual, like where the city was in the 70s when she started that movement, we had already decimated block after block after block of historic buildings, and there was just parking lots everywhere. And she was like, halt, please. And if we didn't have that person really stepping in to help really energize that movement, downtown would look a lot different
I
today.
mean, think about it. We didn't have the Lower Downtown Historic District till 88.
It's
So,
crazy.
yeah, it was stopping what was going on.
Yeah.
She set the tone. She gave the example that the rest of the city has followed and points to. Let's do it Larimer Square style.
Yeah, absolutely. Think about any historic district that we have now. I think that's definitely one of the continuing shaping influences. All right. Where are we?
Number 11.
11.
Number 11, very recently. For previous to this year, he was just a rich guy in a local industry. But now he is on track to potentially become the head of state of a foreign country. Chris Wright, Secretary of Energy, oil and gas CEO. This guy is going to be in charge of Trump's occupation of Venezuela.
You put him in the next 25 years, I think, because he didn't do much except gain political power as an oil and gas man until 25.
I think the influence right now is higher than maybe anyone else on the whole list.
I mean, in this immediate moment, yes, but I'm with Patty. I think it remains to be seen long term how it
up until
means
25,
what it means for Denver too.
Up until 25, like I said, he was just a rich guy.
I just think we're breaking the rules on that. Okay.
Wow.
But no, he is clearly the person you want to be watching right now.
Number 10, bridge power. Kyle Clark.
Oh, Kyle Clark.
We saw it last year.
Sure, agreed.
Kyle Clark, when he speaks, people rise up. The governor wanted to build a bridge for America's 250th anniversary. Kyle Clark said, maybe that's not so good idea. More than 90% of people who filled out the governor's survey said, we don't like this idea.
And let's put it in context, which is, unlike Chris Wright, who's going up, Kyle Clark could be the last of the influential local network TV people, because that power is just going away.
It is. And he has carved himself out a space that just doesn't exist anymore. I thought about this too. He's the one broadcast news journalist that most people could name. And I don't know if they could name anybody else today.
When in 75, they could have named everyone.
Oh, absolutely. And also, I think he's done a really interesting job of presenting information and editorializing it in a way that I don't even know if people notice how much he editorializes when he's...
I think some people notice.
I mean, some people do, but some people are just like, I don't know. I just think that that's what makes him really good at what he does. Also, he does I think he hits us up when he wants to go a little bit wild and he wants to talk a little deeper about it, which I appreciate. But the bridge thing definitely, I think you're right, Paul, that solidified him as a prominent voice of the last 100 years in Denver.
And also the money he's raised. So it's interesting to look at that.
The philanthropy.
But it's really, when you think about it, because he's a young guy, but it's I wouldn't say it's a dying media, but in the media landscape, which is changing so much, he's reached the pinnacle of what TV used to be. And will never be again.
I mean, and he's just a unique figure now. I mean, I think most people who know him on social media, even though the clips are made with the TV production, caliber.
I think that's what sets them apart, though, too, is they early on were doing that with Next. And his campaign is called Word of Thanks. And I can't remember, it's raised several $1 million. And he does that every week. So good call.
All right, next up. Next up is, this is another person that comes to us from the 2010s, explosive growth, that sort of Union Station moment of doubling down, betting on the future. Number 9. So the longtime head of the Downtown Denver Partnership, she was a key partner for Mayor Michael Hancock, the longtime Denver in the 21st century. Like I mentioned, explosive growth. Tammy Dorr. Tammy Dorr.
I mean, I know her best as one of the boosters of the camping ban. That's when she came to prominence.
I'm not sure I'd go for that.
You don't think so?
No, because I think really what you had the Michael Hancock administration doing things. So, and I think you would see downtown going a little more differently if it had been a more powerful voice.
Really?
What do you think would be
Well, I think she left. And downtown stalled in a lot of ways. You think if you had a really good plan in place, you would have had momentum that it would have continued carrying. You would have built a staff. You would have built people who would keep going. I thought about this a lot, that downtown needed more of a defender, and it just wasn't there. But it would have, I think, had a stronger position.
That's an interesting point, actually, because I don't know if you could anticipate the pandemic. I think that's what hit downtown hardest.
That's a good
point.
And
I think what she did to set up downtown well was this downtown Denver, the Downtown Development Authority, the tax financing plan that funded Union Station that they're now expanding and replicating. I think that was an incredibly influential and important project.
But was that just her?
No, but I think she
Yeah.
was involved. And I think that, she led the Downtown Denver Partnership. That's
It's
that's the
very
community of
powerful.
downtown businesses,
Mhm.
which if you had to parse the influence in the whole city, a lot of it centers around the money
All right.
downtown.
All right. Well,
And they
we can
chose
come
her.
back to that.
It's like
'cause
an
They
I've
chose
RNL
her.
on steroids. I mean,
Yeah.
it has so
Yeah.
much power.
Yeah. I've got someone to maybe counter that, but
Okay.
we'll see who's else is
Okay.
on your list.
I mean, we might get to them. We're getting to the
Number 8.
really big names here. And this person, you might be surprised to see him this low.
Okay.
Mayor Mike Johnston. Our current mayor, I have at number 8.
Really?
Uh-huh. Well, what are his achievements so far? What is his influence so far? He changed the tone. He led the campaign to change the tone on homelessness. He took us from Maria Garcia Berry defeating the camping ban back in 2017. Mayor Mike Johnston said, we could do this a different way. I think that's his biggest achievement so far. And I'm not sure what else I'm seeing.
I think the vote's not in on him. Let's go back to 2008, for example. He was an awarded principal when the DNC came to town. I mean, he was name checked by the DNC. So he really has some, and then he went straight to kind of doing Gary Foundation things and pushing that. I think the vote's not in yet on what's going to happen because he inherited the pandemic. So where he's going to go, we don't know yet. But I think you have to keep him on the list, but I wouldn't put him higher.
Oh, I wouldn't put him higher either at all. I'm still waiting to see, I think.
The other big achievement, I guess the other thing he could claim is Proposition 123. When he was a state senator, that was a big, raised a lot of money for affordable housing, which he then ran for mayor on a plan to use that money. So he's been playing a long game. I mean, we talk about the mayor all the time.
But then he had a measure that failed with affordable housing, right?
You're talking about the sales tax proposal at the city level?
Yeah.
Okay, that's number 8, Mike
Number
Johnston.
7.
Number 7, Phil Anschutz.
I mean,
I think he is the richest Coloradan. He also exercises his influence by purchasing media properties and creating new ones with the Colorado Springs Gazette and now the Denver Gazette. He is also a huge political donor. When Phil Anschutz decides to get into a race, he can change the race. Now, the party of his preference is not in power. He has not been super successful, but he's got a lot of influence. I mean, we just got to say, he's got a lot of influence.
AEG, the Anschutz Entertainment Group, second largest concert promoter in the state. This is a huge industry for us. That says something to me.
But a lot of that was started the 20th century. So that's another one, like I'd put on the Dana Crawford list. Holdover, gathered their influence before, and then we're in position.
And now he is number 7. If he calls, you answer. If Phil wants to give you $10,000
Your phone,
for the
you must be very optimistic.
Paul
about
loves his
who's gonna call
phone.
you.
He does love to talk on the phone. So
I
if you
do.
want to call Paul,
call me anytime.
call Paul anytime.
Get an interview with Phil Anschutz, and you will do what no one in this town has managed to do in like 40 years.
Oh, I would. Of course, he's on the list.
He's the get
And,
interview.
I mean, that is this list basically. These are the interviews that I've always wanted to do. Fortunately, we've had a lot of these people. Okay, the next one is
Number 6.
number 6. I don't know what to say about
I
this
was like,
one.
I'm waiting. Are you?
Number
do you
6
think
is-
Patty and I are going to push back?
Number 6, Patty Calhoun,
Oh.
Westword editor and founder. Patty Calhoun
100%.
sets the narrative. When she speaks, the mayor listens.
I was telling Paul this 9 times out of 10. I'm Googling something. I'm looking for background information on something in Denver, and Westword stories come up. You are the archive.
I'm the librarian.
You are
I
of
wrote
many different parts of the city.
the way I captured your influence was the narrative, the keeper of the narrative of the city. Other outlets report the story. Patty has the narrative. If you want to know how people are feeling, if you want to know what the vibe is, you got to read Westword.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
I said, Patty, that's why I do what I do today. I started reading Westword when I was 11 years old. And I think that this is the model of the alt weekly, which was, you were at the high times of that in the 70s, and you've continued it on when a lot of them don't exist anymore, including the Village Voice, which was the original
Well, when
one.
you talk about broadcasting changing, the media landscape in general changing, like most alt weeklies are gone, but instead you're 24/7 on the web. So
When I talk to people in the mayor's office, the thing that they bring up like all the time is this list you wrote like a year and a half ago about things you want to see happen in downtown Denver. They're always like, hey, did you hear about Patty's idea for the Jumbotron? And I was like, yes, I know Patty's idea. Yes.
That's influence, Patty. All right. Top 5?
Top 5.
All right. Number 5, Paul.
You know, I would like to say that it got harder to rank people up in this territory, but it actually got easier.
Oh, ranking is brave. Okay.
Well, thank you. Well, thank me later. Number 5, Wellington Webb. He is someone who accrued influence in the 20th century. He ran for mayor, of course, very famously, led in the 90s when the growth of the city really kicked off. And then in the 2000s, 21st century, he's the person you call when you needed something. He's the person you call when you need something to get done and you need someone who's going to be a good hang and convince someone of something.
This is why he runs web consulting, because he does that very thing.
And he just started a water consulting business too. I'm going to put him in again with Dana in he's like the lion in winter now. He was very, very influential. The fact that he won that mayor's race in the 90s against Norm Early was incredible. It was such a come from behind race. But he gathered that influence early, but he continues to have it.
I mean, he is an undeniable man. When you meet him, you get it. He has that like charisma of in person, like, wow, I just like hanging out with this guy. And he's got some great ideas and he's changed the way I think about stuff.
He's a living person that has a building named after him, which I think always says something about that person if there's a current building named after you too. Also, I mean, DIA obviously was a Pena project, but he really shepherded that into fruition. I think he said like 80% of it was built on his watch or something. But I mean, DIA is a huge part of keeping Denver on the map.
But we have to remember that was still 20th century.
Yes, that's
vision.
That's fair.
But to envision it as big as it was 20th century. That was Denver thinking ahead.
Also with Wellington Webb, the golf course.
The golf course fight.
The golf course. The man decided what to do with 155 acres of open land in the city. He basically decided, he convinced a bunch of people to do it. He convinced the whole city to vote for it twice, and he's getting his way.
I think that will be one of his most lasting influences, because that is one of those votes that people remember very clearly how they voted, and they think about that every time they pass that. Either I made that happen or I was defeated. So it's really interesting.
Number 4, John Hickenlooper. This is rarefied air here. He was the mayor from 2003 to 2011. He was then governor, and now he is senator. I mean, there's not a political office in the state that there is nothing left to aspire to.
He did run for president.
And brewery owner. I mean, if you want to get to things you want to aspire to.
Brewery owner for some.
An interesting bridge. Now, when you think about it, the 20th to the 21st century, the 20th century, very Colorado, the last 20 years, came as a geologist, lost his job, started a brew pub, helped with Lodo. I mean, Lodo was coming before he did, but he really moved it. Then he launched his campaign really for mayor based on fighting losing the Mile High name. So he's already going up against the powers that be, although then he became a power that is.
He did. I think what Hickenlooper did is he set the tone for this period of great growth. It was always a plucky growth that was rooted in what Denver had always been. He was likable for like so long. People loved him. I looked at his last election for mayor before he was drafted to run for governor. I think he won by like over 80% of the vote in the city of Denver. It's incredible. He was incredibly popular.
You're very popular usually when you run for your second term. I mean, that's easier, but we'll see.
That's a lot.
Well, certainly more than Pena, who had a really tough time.
I would also just say a lot of this is I grew up in the early 2000s. I was college age in Lodo. This was hugely defined by the moves that he made. And again, opening a brewery in Lodo at that time wasn't necessarily the move everybody thought it was going to be. And now look at where it is now. I mean, I don't think we would have Rhino if we didn't have Lodo first. So.
I don't think so either. I mean, Rhino, we haven't even talked about enough, but
also, I wanted to jokingly
in my long list, there's Rhino people.
I wanted to put Dick Kreck on here for being the curse of the person that created the term Lodo. Because then it just went off the rails from there.
It was actually his wife at the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
How about that?
Vicky Getz.
The other thing with Hickenlooper is weed. Weed was a very defining issue in Denver in the 21st century. We were the capital of weed. It was a big business, and now it's slowly becoming a less big business. And there's no one more than Hickenlooper that defined how weed would physically be in the city. He was resistant. Well, you make your case in a second, but he was resistant to weed, and therefore we have a lot of safeguards, and then he embraced it. late. And now we have the door open. That's my case for Hickenlooper. He defined the regulatory scheme as governor.
Patty, you're
Go
up
ahead,
close
Patty.
and personal with him at this time.
He was our bartender. Our office was across the street when we opened the wine coop. I have to pull him out of the weed factor. I think that was not his campaign. There were people really pushing that campaign in Denver. Mason Tvert is the one who comes to mind. We already had medical marijuana approved, then approving some laws to make it not criminal in Denver, and then pushing for the amendment. Mason Tvert did it. Hickenlooper wasn't a big, he didn't support it at all when he was governor of that passage in 2012. But he did put in safeguards on it, but weed was already here. So he did not really, I don't think, his regulations that were put on it really weren't that defining. So I would just I'm not disagreeing with his placement on this.
Okay.
I think weed is just not the issue for him.
I think the brewery craze and the craft beer craze were no doubt helped by him. You have a beer at his brewery.
Yeah, well, that is true.
You have a beer named after you at his brewery.
All right, so that's number 4.
Number 3.
Current Senator John Hickenlooper.
Top 3, Paul.
Number 3, the man who lives in his own penthouse apartment above an arena that he also owns, Stan Kroenke. Billionaire real estate developer Stan Kroenke, who owns 2 professional teams that are successful and some others that we don't talk about as much.
So
the Avalanche,
much of our real estate.
the Nuggets. He owns so much land. He has so much influence. He won championships, and then he convinced the city to let him build basically his own downtown on the side of downtown around his arena. He is going to own a whole mass. He's going to basically own his own city inside the city.
Defining what Denver looks like so much over the next 25 years. It's frightening.
If he's the reason Elitch's leaves downtown, I don't know what I'm going to...
Well, if it leaves
He will be,
downtown, he'll
yes.
be the reason.
Where is
He
it
will
going to
be,
go?
yeah.
I mean, I guess if it disappears forever, I'll blame him. Yeah, I mean, you can't deny it, and it is one of those interesting things where this is one of my first realizations where sports and real estate were so intertwined. I didn't quite understand it from a everyday person's perspective until understanding just how much land he owned and what he was doing with that land. And I mean, we could have this conversation about stadiums across the country and how this works, the economics work, but it's also one of those things that we don't know what's going to happen in 25 years. It'll be interesting to see what that part looks like, but he's going to be in charge of it.
He will make the decisions. He will make decisions that we will remember. He already has. I mean, this last 25 years, because I think he bought the teams the very end of the 90s, early 2000s. And so it really is these are 25 years of Kroenke's Denver.
Well, I hope he also invests in flying cars, because how we're going to get from one side of downtown to the new downtown.
Scratch
we're not
off
getting
your
into that now.
bingo sheet, folks. We're talking parking.
No, we're not talking parking. We're talking what happens to Spear Boulevard? How do you get from the River Mile project to the east?
Yeah.
What happened? You've got Spear Boulevard. That's it. Flying cars.
I'm not even touching that one. Okay.
Number 2.
So
number 2, there's 2 big pieces here. The first piece is he is currently the front runner to be our next governor, Michael Bennett.
Oh.
Michael Bennett has
Bennett, number 2?
Massive profile in the Democratic Party, regularly talked about as a future presidential contender, which has not been a subject of discussion for any Coloradan since the 1980s with Gary Hart.
He ran for president too, Michael Bennett.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I know.
And failed.
And his platform has only grown. His respect has only grown. Michael Bennett, if you will remember, let me take you back to the summer of 2024.
This is a tough one for 2.
2024, the summer of 2024, the candidate for the Democratic Party is Joe Biden. Their primaries have basically been erased. And then it slowly comes out, maybe Mr. Biden is a little bit too old to do this job. But the Democrats don't want to talk about it. No Democrat wants to stand up and say, this isn't right. And who stands up and says, we need to change something? Michael Bennett. Michael Bennett was one of the first and earliest Democrats to talk about Biden stepping aside. And what happens in the end? He steps aside.
I don't think that gets you number 2, but
that's
okay.
Huge influence.
And he worked for Anschutz, right?
I do.
Oh,
okay.
that's right.
I do.
Which
so
is
he
one of the
has
interesting
Anschutz's ear. There's a million connections. And then the other huge piece is a little bit more centered locally. The DPS reform movement. Michael Bennett was the superintendent of DPS from about 2000 something to, I don't know when 2009 is I think when he was appointed to the Senate. He led the district as it was beginning to become the laboratory of education reform across the entire country. And I don't know if there is a more important policy change in the city than this one in how it has shaped the city.
Yeah, I was going to say a more impactful policy change. Yes.
Yeah.
I as a person living through this right now, my son can't go to our neighborhood school because it's not good situation. I have a lot of fraught feelings about this, but it is a good point, Paul, that again, Colorado likes to be first in certain things, and this was one of those things that we're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Because I went to DPS before all of this, but I was at the end of busing as well. So it's been an interesting thing to watch evolve. But fair point. I wouldn't put him at 2 either, Patty, but definitely
he belongs up there.
He has his hands.
You put him behind Kroenke. You put him behind Hickenlooper.
Behind Kroenke.
Yeah, definitely.
Kroenke ahead of Bennett. Wow.
Yeah, it's interesting though.
Well,
we're looking at money.
We need
and
to
then
hear
just
number
power
one.
and influence.
I mean, number one, I think when you look at the last 25 years, it's like, it's kind of obvious. Like it might not be satisfying, but it's kind of obvious. Michael Hancock.
What?
Mayor from 2011 to 2023. He's now looked back on with rose-colored glasses as the bike mayor. He led the city through its period of most explosive growth in both population and in business.
He also
tweeted
that we shouldn't fly, and then he flew to see his daughter.
I don't know.
at
I would
Thanksgiving.
argue him at number one.
This is not a list of who we like.
No,
this is
we
a
know
list
that.
of
I know,
influence.
but that diminishes that influence a little bit to me. I don't know. This is a tough one.
The camping ban.
Yeah.
The hipster era of the 2010s. Michael Hancock defined this era.
Oh,
When Rhino became
Hickenlooper.
Rhino. When downtown became downtown.
I would argue that he took advantage, or maybe he didn't even. He benefited from things that had been laid for him in the decade before. I wouldn't give him number one.
Yeah, that's a wild card, Paul.
No one
that.
created New Denver as much as Michael Hancock is responsible for New Denver.
Oh no, I would disagree with that.
His relationship with the business community in downtown.
I'm actually
Think about
surprised
this.
the Zeppelins aren't on your list for that.
They're
reason.
in the long list.
All right. Okay.
Because I would say they had more influence over.
Yeah, interesting. Well, we'll have to have a part 2 on this debate.
Who else?
I want to talk about some of the things you missed.
Please.
Somewhere along here.
Please.
I would absolutely put on Tracy Weil and Jidla Hadley Hooper, who set up Rhino, because without them starting the Rhino Art District, you don't have Rhino becoming hip. You don't have all that development. That wasn't Michael Hancock. He was taking advantage with a lax planning department, maybe, of what had already been set in motion by artists down there. So I think you have to give the artists a little more credit on that one.
I admit I underrepresented artists.
Okay.
I was thinking for Rhino, Ken Wolf. Ken Wolf, the money man in Rhino.
Then you get the developers.
Yeah.
So you kind of have both.
Money
and
talks.
I guess, well, it does talk, but they took advantage of what other people had done. I mean, it's a historic problem. You've got the artists who live in the lofts in what became Lodo. Then the galleries and the artists have to leave because they can't afford it anymore.
Yeah.
It's a typical thing, but I think the creatives who made Colorado and came in in the late 70s, in the 80s, and the 90s, like a Hickenlooper, they are the ones who really made this look like such a desirable city to then overdevelop. Let's put that. Restaurants. I think we have to also take into account what restaurateurs did. And I'm going to use as my example, a local chef, owner, partners, Rioja.
Oh, yeah.
Jen Jasinski and Beth Gruich
as
as partners, and what they did. And there were many, many others, but they brought attention to Colorado.
Set the stage for us to get the Michelin attention.
And on that note, I would also counter your Tammy Dorr with Richard Sharp from Visit Denver, because through it all, Visit Denver has kept the boot, and through the pandemic. I mean, they're the ones who've kept downtown and Metro Denver going much more than some of those the membership groups.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Because it's less political in a certain way,
That's a great
but
one.
it's still a PR machine for the
Right.
city.
And they also are funded by us. I mean, not just
True.
by the businesses. They're funded by lodging tax and rental tax. They got a part of the National Western, but they have continued to push. They pushed restaurants.
Yeah.
They've pushed the arts. They've expanded what Denver is. So for an image, I would go with that.
Also, Paul, I still don't agree with you with Hancock, but the GO bonds under his watch as well that came through, all of the things that he put forth and was a booster for, and we signed on for, except for the arena vote. That was the only one.
That's true.
But those big
The
projects,
National Western Arena he wanted to build.
and but look at the continued expansion of the Denver Art Museum. That's part of that bond project. I mean, bond projects are a big deal. And there were two main ones under him. So,
And a big one under Johnston. So I don't know. I think we have to look at
He
bond
was the
projects.
mayor for 12 years. Think about how many
Yes.
decisions he made.
and he was very popular. He was very not popular with a very specific segment of folks.
But for the city at large, we reelected him twice.
We reelected him. Yeah, I mean, he ran for, like you said, for 12 years, and that's definitely an accomplishment. It's just interesting to think about influence being, I don't want to say good or bad, but the impacts of it. I mean, the impacts of his time are undeniable for sure.
Oh, yeah.
The stock shows in Denver. Think about all the development by the airport. I mean, there's a long list. When you start looking at it, it's like I said, it's not a satisfying pick, but it's kind of undeniable.
Well, I'm just denying maybe your last placements, but I'm going to think about that.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a lot to think
I'd love
about
to see your
too.
list as well. And if listeners have ideas, other
I was
people that
gonna
we
say-
missed, I want to hear those too, because I'm sure there are.
Give us some of your thoughts on who should be on the list of the 21 most important people of Denver in the 21st century. Give us a call on that hotline, 720-500-5418. That's text or voicemail. We love voicemails. Send us an email, denver@citycast.fm. But we know that this got your gears turning too, and you've got some thoughts, and we'd just love to hear that. Patty and Paul, this was really fun, and this is definitely not over. Thank you both.
I'm going to post my list on my Instagram if y'all want to see the whole long list and all my honorable mentions. There's going to be, Paul
Patty, I
_
want
Karolyi.
your list.
Me too.
I'm working on my list. My list is a lot of the unheralded, maybe there aren't even names when you think about some of the movements.
Did they miss anyone? Let us know on Instagram @CityCastDenver or give us a call on the Denver Celebrity Hotline 720-500-5418. That's all for today here on CityCast Denver. If you enjoyed the show, why not take a minute to tell Steve Ells, founder of Chipotle, about us? Rate the show wherever you get your podcasts, follow us on Instagram and TikTok, and subscribe to our morning newsletter at denver.citycast.fm. You can support this show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Denver neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. See ya!
Before we get to the top 10, is there anyone that jumps out as like, I'm sure they're all the top.
They're good. So except for Peyton Manning.
Yeah, I have to hard disagree on Peyton Manning.
Listeners, call in. Does Peyton Manning deserve a spot? I had him at number 15.